Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be going over the Jareg 10x event and letting you know my thoughts. Should you pull shards for him, kind of reviewing him, and then I'm also going to be getting you guys up to date on 1.14, when I think it's going to come out, and what's going to be in it, and all of that type of stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, before I dive into the meat and potatoes of the video, we can see on a news post here that there is a shout out for the YouTuber Hell Hades. If you watch my channel, you already know about him because I've had him on a few times, including a Chosen's Corner episode. So yeah, I've worked on a few projects with him, brought him on the channel, and I've always enjoyed working with him, and definitely deserving of a shout out from Plarium. So I'm excited that Plarium is doing this for multiple people. Now we've seen Stu Gaming and Hell Hades both get a shout out, so that is exciting that Plarium has decided to keep doing that for more and more people. And yeah, congratulations to Hell Hades, and definitely check him out if you haven't already. So there is also the big thing kind of going on in the game right now is you'll see the portal here. I don't like how they changed the aesthetic to look like this, because everybody's a little bit antsy right now about ×2 voids. That's the next shard that's going to be boosted in terms of the rotation, going from ancients and sacreds. Voids are next in the rotation, so making this look like it's a massive purple void boosting is a little bit wrong in my opinion. There should have been a different aesthetic for this, but basically if you click on the little eye here, you're gonna see a boosted chance for Jareg that's basically just on for today. We can see 13.5 more hours left on here. So the big question that I want to get out of the way first in this video is, should you or should you not pull shards for Jareg? Now, I'll show you my Jareg here that I've got, and I think I actually have him in the vault. Let me go ahead and pull him out here. There he is. So let's yank him out here. Okay, so let's get him selected while I'm talking. So yeah, Jareg is very good. He is, if you check my tier list down in the video description, you will see I have Jareg rated pretty highly because he is very good in the clan boss, which I've always been of the opinion that clan boss is the most important area of the game, and he can fill that attack down role, so he can be very vital having attack down on an A1. And then he's also got some cool things like ally protection, increased defense, which is very important, and a passive that is pretty generally useful, and then an aura of HP in all battles. So he's got a very good sustain kit, and he's a pretty good epic. Now, should you spend money or yank shards for Jareg? I think this is a pretty simple answer for me, and the answer is no. Now, it's not because Jareg is bad. It's just there's no fusion going on. There's no shards being boosted. There's no type of event like a champion chase tournament or something to really drive me to recommend people to pull a bunch of shards. So I'm gonna recommend don't go for it right now, and that's not a knock on Jareg. He's a very good champion, and if you get him, he's probably worth building for most of you out there because he does fill a very important role in a very important area of the game. But for this specific event and timetable, I'm going to recommend that you don't be baited by this and pull a bunch of shards. So if you do, just know that you're kind of going against my general sentiment and my feeling. But if you do get him and you're a new player, he's a pretty good champion to get. So that's kind of the opinion on that. But before I end the discussion on Jareg, really quickly, I do want to point out, because if you're new to my channel or if you're a newer player, you might not understand how this works. Shard chances to acquire an epic champion are not buffed. That's not what the 10x means. It means if you summon an epic, it's a 10 times greater chance to get Jareg from that summoning. So you're not more likely to get epics out of ancient shards or anything. It's just if you get an epic, there's a much higher chance that it will be Jareg instead of the normal summoning rates when there's no 10x for him. So don't be misled by that. A lot of people get misled by that. The chances of getting epics are not boosted, and I want to make sure you understand that so you can make an educated decision. So let's go into, we're kind of getting some inclinations of what 1.14 will be. That is the next patch for Raid Shadow Legends, and it's looking like it's gonna be, we're being told 1.14 is gonna come out in early April. Now, you know how that typically goes, so I'm gonna say expect it around April 10th to 20th, somewhere in there. You know how this tends to work. Things get delayed, things end up taking longer than anticipated. So if it comes out in the first week of April, great. If it's actually early April, that'd be amazing. But I would expect it somewhere between April 10th and April 20th if I had to guess right now, because you know how it usually goes. And in terms of what's going to be in it, the most notable things are going to be a massive buff to Masha Lead. Masha Lead has been kind of a trash can legendary for a very long time, but I have this in a different video where I talked about Masha Lead going from My Shaled to God Shaled, and he's gonna be pretty good. Just obviously it's hard until we see it in game and we can really test things. I don't have him or anything, but from the looks of it, Masha Lead's gonna be very, very good. He's getting a very significant buff, one of the more significant buffs I've ever seen them do to a legendary champion. Drakamorph would also be in that conversation in terms of crazy buffing to a champion, but Masha Lead could be in that tier. We're gonna have to see it go live and test him to make sure, but he's definitely gonna be very significantly buffed if those things go live. There was also a slight nerf to Duchess Lilitu, and it's looking like what they're gonna be doing is changing Veil and Perfect Veil and kind of how they work a little bit. So what they're gonna be doing is adding inherent damage reduction to Veil and Perfect Veil respectively. So instead of it just being a feature of Duchess, it's gonna be a game-wide feature of Veil, which I do think they need to show Veil a little bit of love. It seems like it should be a very good buff and something that's very sought after, but it's really not. So I do like how they're taking a look at Veil and trying to make it a little bit better. I think the change is good, not great. I would have given it a little bit more love than that. So it looks like Duchess should still be just as good, or mostly as good as she is now. She might be, you know, slightly worse, but she's still going to be a very good champion. Another thing that's supposed to be coming in 1.14 is a change to how Leech works. So Leech is a debuff that it kind of gives you lifesteal. So you place Leech on an enemy, and then when you hit them, you get a certain percentage of healing. You know, you do like a 8% Leech, 10% Leech. It's actually going to be going from 10% to 18. So Leech is getting a pretty significant buff. Honestly, I would have just taken it from 10 to 20. But it's a step in the right direction. Leech has been kind of an underused utility in the game. People don't really care about it. It doesn't really have any consistent sort of functionality in any sort of meta in raid, but going from 10 to 18 should bring it into line. I like the buff. Like I said, I would have just taken it from 10 to 20 and gone that route, make it nice and round and simple, and then I think it would have been pretty good. It'll definitely be better at 18. I don't see it as being like insane, but we could see a point where you start to place a Leech on the clan boss, and if that number gets high enough, it starts to compete with lifesteal gear and all of that. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. The only thing that's rough is the clan boss is limited in terms of the amount of debuffs you can place on it. I've always said I would have liked the clan boss to be like 12 debuffs instead of 10 to make a little bit more room for stuff like that, but if they don't change that, we're gonna have to do some testing and see how impactful Leech can really be on the clan boss. And then just to cover all the stuff that's going on in the game currently and get you caught up, in terms of events, there is an artifact enhancement event going on right now, and also Dungeon Divers does end today. Both of these end today, so you're going to want to keep an eye on these and make your progress. The artifact enhancement event is going to cost you somewhere between 15 and 25 million silver if you want to complete it, depending on what you're upgrading. Typically, people feel like upgrading 5 and 6 star gear to level 8 is the cheapest and most consistent way to acquire points. I have found that level 12 can yield some pretty good results, but there's a lot more RNG. Your most consistent route in terms of expected silver spent is going to be upgrading a bunch of stuff to level 8. It's a good opportunity to upgrade a bunch of gear to level 8, kind of see how it's rolling, and then get rid of the stuff that isn't rolling well. But it's also a good opportunity to take some of those artifacts to level 16 that you know you're going to have to upgrade to 16 at some point anyway, because they're either really good or they're on a champion that you really use a lot. So a pretty good, well-rounded event, and something that you should be trying to maximize your resources and get your silver spent during an artifact enhancement event, because we only get these about every week or two, and you really want to kind of plan around them in terms of spending your silver during them so that you're getting the maximum amount of value for your silver spent. In terms of the Dungeon Divers, this one's been going on for a while, and a lot of people were finding it pretty tough to get to the Jingle Hunter part of the fusion. I went ahead, I've been grinding events and stuff, so I did complete this already, but it's a pretty tough event. It did take a lot of runs to get to the 8,000 points, so if you're going for the fusion, make sure you get your Jingle Hunter, and if you have enough energy and resources to go for the legendary book, it's always a good thing to go for legendary books. They're very tough to get, so it might be worth it to make sure and focus on that today and get some dungeon grinding done. All right, then in terms of the tournament, there's a Fire Night tournament going on. I am a little bit disappointed by the rewards here. The top reward being 30 brews. At least I really wish this was at least an epic book, so I'm kind of disappointed that these rewards were really trending in the right direction for a while. They were starting to get pretty decent, but all of a sudden these rewards on the right side have gotten a lot worse. But they are at least giving out a full set of 6-star epic relentless and then a 5-star relentless for number 2. And these rewards, I mean, if the groups are gonna be 100 people, I wish they would be better, but it looks like in my group there's only about 5% of the group is even gonna be going hard in the Fire Night, because the rewards just aren't that enticing, is probably what I would guess. And the Fire Night's kind of a difficult dungeon to really be end game and grind super hard, so we're only seeing like 5% participation in terms of going hard. So I really hope they're going to shrink these groups, make the right side rewards a little bit more enticing, and I think that would help round it out in terms of giving people some incentive to actually go after this. And because I like going after the top here for 30 brews, I wouldn't recommend it unless you're in a group that's very winnable. It looks like my group isn't super winnable, so I might just kind of let this go, get my 100 gems and call it good. I don't know if I want to get in a whale war and spend 5,000 more energy to win this relentless set, especially when the top is only 30 brews. If it was an epic book, honestly, I'd probably go for it, but for 30 brews, it's barely worth the 700 more points I need to acquire. So I'm gonna have to kind of assess, and that I'm just kind of walking you through my process on that event. And before I let you go here, I do want to get you caught up on all the offers in game. I'll do this really quick. I know sometimes you guys are wondering how these score out, and I expect both of these to kind of fall in the decent tier, but not great. 10 ancients. I wish that was like 15 instead of 10, just giving off my first impressions here. And there we go. And then gems. Yeah, so grades out is a 1.46. That's a definitely one that I would pass on, especially now if it was a ×2 ancient event or something, maybe, but I'm passing on that one for now. I don't like to get the ones that are down in the yellow. And then let's go 3,300, and this one will be better. Yeah, this one's slightly better, but still both of these are going to be something I would recommend passing on currently. Faction accessories. Not a whole lot to cover here. This would need to be like $10 to $12 for me to want to recommend that. The mini mix pack, these are a daily thing, so not a whole lot to cover there. The special ancients pack, so this is going to be a big one to cover. This will be an important one that a lot of you are wondering about. 12, 1,000, and 1 million. Okay, so yeah, this is definitely the best one of the bonus ancient pack, the faction accessories, and these 3 that kind of came through the shop today. This is definitely the best one. I'm still gonna say pass. I don't like to buy ones until they get up to that 1.9 teal range, 1.9, 2.0, up in that range. So again, this is one I'm gonna pass on. If it were during a ×2 ancient event, maybe, but in the current state of the game, this is one I'm going to recommend kind of letting go and waiting for something better. So yeah, that kind of does it for this video, and as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.